So guys, I suggest we start. Um, well, it's my ever first live stream on YouTube. I've never been doing that before. We've been always recording podcasts and some content and sharing it with you here on our Blastland YouTube channel. First of all, I would love to welcome everyone in our live stream tonight. And thank you very much that you are joining us. I think more people will join us tonight. And I want to take the opportunity and thank you, dear listeners, dear viewers, for subscribing to our Blastland AI channel. I'm really, really grateful. We are really grateful for your interest, for your inspiration. And well, we are so happy to be creating and doing something that people obviously love. And we are going to continue, and it gives a lot of power for us to create even more and more and more and more. So, I'm going to start introducing myself very briefly. My name is Dmitry Kourouji. I'm the co-founder of Blastland. We are doing three things. First thing, we are part of the Microsoft Startup Founders Hub, and we are working currently and finishing now in this and next week a AI-driven copilot minimum viable product for industrial corporations. The second thing we are doing are podcasts with beautiful, interesting people from all over around the world. And the third, last but not least thing, we are experimenting a lot with various dozens and dozens of AI software that is coming up on almost daily basis. And the reason why I'd like to talk to you today is to give you a short insight about some generative AI highlights and techniques. As a Kickstarter package, as a basic for especially those of you who have never dealt with that, or for those and for those who are interested in getting to know more. So I prepared a presentation actually, and I will share the screen with you right now, the entire screen. Well, you see now a lot of myself and mirrors inside, but that's okay because we're going to switch to the presentation. We call it the Book of GenAI, and today we're going to do some fancy short presentation for you. So it's going to be me who's going to be doing it, of course. But before we do that, I want to show you some short movie we did some time ago to get you inspired. Here it is. So that was one of our mini projects we did. We called it Enearii for the Greek 9 winds. Basically, it's all-in-one 9 blocks story showing various mini films that are devoted to some beautiful nature and to travel. So just to get you inspired with. So what is the main purpose of our today's live session? There are two of them. The first one is, of course, to inspire you. The second one is to answer your questions if you have any of those. If not, you can send them later on to us. We're going to answer them to you in written form or in our posts and blog. What are the three majors of generative AI? This is how we call them three majors of GenAI. It's your time It's your story and your tools. So basically, in all the life endeavors you're doing, you always need to invest time. So without a time investment, just having done things in 2 minutes doesn't work. So you have to devote your time to experimenting and getting to know and getting familiar with all the AI tools in the market. The second one is your story. So the story you want to tell to the world, to the people. And last but not least are, of course, your tools, the tools you're using. Let's start with the main things. But before we do so, there is always a certain cycle you have to follow. This is my own inventions, if you want so. So I truly believe that every creation with the AI tools has to undergo or go through a certain creativity and creation cycle. This is why I call it the cycle. What does exactly the cycle mean? As I told you in the very beginning, you have to take enough time to experiment and to create something. This is really crucial because if you don't have the time, if you think that you can do it in 2.5, 3 minutes on a Saturday evening, then it will not work, obviously, guys. The second thing, which I told prior, is the storytelling or the story you want to tell to the people. So it's not just simply enough to have some idea and one picture or just one sentence. It needs to be a story, even a short one. Today, we're not going to talk about inspiration and the groove because these are really very individual and very separate and very creative topics. We're going to handle them in separate sessions. As for now, I can only say inspiration is something that is cyclical as well. It comes, it goes. You can sometimes have writer's block or creativity block, which is absolutely normal. But on the other hand, you can get inspired from all over the world, from people, from the nature, from some events, from pictures, from pets, from some actions of people, from some life situations, etc. The groove is also an important element which we are not going to deep dive into today, but the groove is something very special. It's a trait, it's a property of yourself, which you give to your creation. So the world, so the people can immediately recognize, wow, this has been done by this particular guy. I always love the example of musicians. So if, for example, Eric Clapton is playing, you would always recognize that it's Eric Clapton playing. The same for B.B. King with the famous string up, like, pew. So these are like your traits, your properties, and your very, very special groove. So always try to do something. I know it sounds very simple or easy, but you should try to do something that nobody else has done, that people immediately recognize that it is your work. Let's go now to the violet rosa marked points that are here on the screen. So basically the core of the cycle of creating an AI movie or AI short film begins with prompting, meaning that you have to write a prompt, generating the images, the pictures, scaling them up, adding sound, and in the end, making a movie out of it. So it comes to be an overall closed cycle. In the end, we're not going to talk about it today. Publishing is another separate chapter, which we're going to handle later on. But what I would love to say here, staying on this screen, is that all this big cycle, especially related to the rosa and the violet marked parts from prompting to movie, are all about testing. You have to test a lot. You have to try this and that. And sometimes these surprises come from very unexpected corners. So, when talking about prompting, when you write a prompt in a software, which you're going to use in a software later, the prompt needs, so the text needs always to be particularly related to a scene, like here on the screen, for example. It needs to be action driven. You can, I would say you should, you could, but you are not obliged to write the camera control. What the camera should be doing, should it be zooming out, zooming in, raising up, raising down, circulating, rotating, etc. You can select various angles of the shot, and of course different styles like anime, cartoon, Pixar similar, GTA 5 similar, hyper realistic, photographic, cinematic. There are like dozens and dozens and dozens of styles. You can find them all on the internet. We'll talk later on about that. And once you figured that prompt out, you can put it into different image creation tools. There are like really dozens of image creation tools. My personal favorite is Midjourney. I'm using it already for a long time, since almost it started. But there are also other wonderful platforms that are actually for movie creation, but they offer also the image creation tools like Runway, Luma, Kling, Pika, etc. So I could count them endlessly. There are so many of them. And you know what? Some of the tools are really better for some things like musical concerts or some action thrillers or fantasy. The others are better for science, for cartoons, and so on. This is my personal experience, but it's of course up to you. You have to try. Again, you remember we discussed in the previous slide the topic of testing. So you have to test, to test, to test. And once you have tested, you can decide yourself, and you already know, like in the veins and in the genes, that this software is better for creating some fantasy shorts, I mean pictures, and this software is better for some action thrillers, for example. But you know what? Sometimes these tools like Midjourney, Pika, Kling, Luma, Runway, etc., they create really stunning images. This image that you see on the screen, that's been created without any upscaling. So it was created in Midjourney, and I found it cool. I mean, it looks cool. This is a bit crazy stuff that the car is shifting on the right. I wanted explicitly myself to have it like this, but I did not upscale it. But in many cases, if you want to be really, really professional, you have to take the images that you have created in, for example, Midjourney, to put them into other software solutions like Magnific AI, Leonardo AI, Topaz Labs. There are other software, but to be honest with you, I'm using these three. And I tell you even more, in the image and video creation tools like, for example, Luma or Runway, you have the possibility to upscale as well. Well, it's a matter of taste, a matter of credits, because we do not discuss today the financial part of creating the generative AI movies and shorts. But anyway, it's it costs some money, but not a fortune. Yeah. But in my practice, how I do, my personal opinion is that using Magnific AI, Leonardo, or Topaz Labs is really best. But I also sometimes do upscale in the same tool where I do create the picture and the movie in the end. Well, once you have created all the pictures, I say 5 to 20, 25, 15, whatever your movie, you remember the topic of groove and storytelling, whatever your movie is like, You have upscaled the pics. Now you begin creating the video. And here, of course, you have again a variety of beautiful tools like Luma, Runway, Minimax, Blink. Recently, since I think 1 month, we even have, because I'm from Switzerland, we have the possibility to use Sora by OpenAI in Switzerland, and we're very grateful. VO2 by Google is not yet officially available in Switzerland, and I think in most parts of Europe, if I'm not mistaken. But there are some other tools you can use where VO is integrated in. And here comes the funny part, because here you have also to work the same with the prompts. You remember when we talked about the prompts for the pictures? Here you have to be very, very, very diligent and very, very patient, because you can get, well, if you're doing it the right way, after some certain time, you get really nice videos, 5 to 10 seconds. You can also extend them up to 30, 20, 25 seconds in the video tools. But if you're lucky, you get, after your first prompt, the artificial intelligence to do what you want. For example, that this guy here on the screen begins walking, the car is driving, the plane is flying, and so on. But in many cases, I would say in 50% of the cases, the software not always delivers the desired outcomes. So probably the person is walking backwards or the cars are driving backwards. You can correct it. If they're driving backwards, you can take it and then reverse the video with, for example, a tool which I did not list in here. It's called ASGIF. So it's Echo, Zulu, Golf, India, Foxtrot. It's a really nice tool. And then the desired outcome is here. But in many cases, it looks, or in some cases, it does not look satisfactory. So then you have to re-engineer your prompt that the guy is walking, the car is driving, and the plane is flying. And this takes, again, time, patience, and configuration adjustments of what the camera has to do, what the objects have to do, how the camera is moving, or is the camera frozen? I always write camera stays still if I don't want the camera to move, yeah. So all these things, again, testing, testing, testing. We're not explicitly going to talk about sound today, but I have to mention that sound plays, in my opinion, a crucial role. I would even say 50% of your success, even if you do a very, very short movie or short film or just short, is about sound. Why do you think Instagram, TikTok, and even YouTube, they are very, very diligent and intelligent in terms of the sounds? So you always have the sound library. You can add sounds on top of your film or movie, because sound attracts people. People listen to sound, and they recognize your film, your work much better with sound. That's clear. So I never heard of a very successful short or trailer or movie without sound, just silent. It doesn't work like that. So we're not going to discuss sound explicitly today, because it's a chapter. It's a huge chapter per se. We're going to do it next time. But for the sound software, I'm personally the biggest fan of using Elevenlabs for the voices. Either cloning my own voice or some other voices, or just the random voices they offer in the library. Artlist is a nice platform for sounds, music, etc. Dubformer, also for dubbing voices. And I didn't list it here. It's actually below. It's Clipchamp. In Microsoft Clipchamp, you have a quite big and good library of background noises, sounds of airplanes, of pets, etc., whatever you want. So there is a huge library in Clipchamp, which you can also use for generating the sounds. And last but not least, not to annoy you today too long, once you have created, let's say, 5 short videos of, let's say, 5 to 10 seconds each, you have to put them somehow together. And for this, I personally am using Clipchamp. Here comes Clipchamp by Microsoft, a really handy tool, in my opinion, very, very simple tool to use. I know that all the generative AI artists and professionals would probably laugh on me because they're using like super Adobe and so on. But for me, like I'm not a super ultra professional Hollywood star, so for me, Clipchamp is enough. But of course, I have already experimented and done some nice things with Adobe After Effects, for example. What I'm referring to, for example, such things as opening eyes. Imagine you're standing on a stage full of people and you create an effect where the eyes are opening like this, and then the picture comes in. This you cannot do in Clipchamp, or actually you can almost not do it. Probably there is a recipe how to do it, but I wouldn't know how to. But in Adobe After Effects you can do it. In my opinion, Adobe After Effects is a very cool software. It costs also some money, so it's not that cheap. Uh, but it requires a bit more efforts from you to learn it. So probably you need to invest one full weekend to study Adobe After Effects that you can use it plus minus professionally or semi-professionally for your hobbies. So I'm using it sometimes, but not so often. Canva offers also a lot of interesting add-ons. If you watch our movies on Blastland and look at the movie, for example, called Reimagine by John Lennon, Reimagined by Freddie Mercury, there is like a speaking portrait of Freddie Mercury, and I was like struggling a lot. How can I make him transparent and just the silhouette of Freddie Mercury talking? And this I managed to do in Canva. It was also quite an effort to do it, but Canva was quite helpful. So, uh, yeah, this is about the cycle. We come to the last slide and last point of today. I don't want to annoy you on a Wednesday evening too much and too long. My recommendations to all the newbies in generative AI landscape are the following. The first, as I already have mentioned prior, test, test, test. So test everything you see, everything you hear, everything you read. Then you like it or you don't like it. If you like it, then it's okay. If you don't like it, then continue testing and you will find your recipe. I highly recommend to follow the legends of and the icons of generative AI on their social media, like Heather Cooper, Dave Clark, the founder of the first worldwide film studio called Promise Studios, Kim Landers, and there are dozens of really cool guys out there. You will find them immediately, but these three are my personal icons. I love them very much, and I learned so much things, so many things from them. Don't stop reading. For example, the tool, the generative AI tool, which has, I think, around 30 different features and technical features in it, Runway ML. They also have a Runway Academy, like a wiki inside, and you can get a lot of know-how from there, like how to use the camera, how to use the lenses, how to steer the prompts correctly, how to write them correctly, what are the do's, what are the don'ts. So this is like really a cool stuff. Yep. On the right hand side, so for you probably on the left, um, is our mini short about Prince and Michael Jackson. There was also quite an inspirational question for me. Did Michael Jackson ever perform with Prince? And the answer was clearly no. So this is how this short came to life. Was also quite an effort to bring Prince and Michael Jackson into one screen, to be honest with you. Well, back to the topic and combine the things like you see here also on Prince and Michael Jackson and on the 916 format, vertical format. You can combine some things inside. There are no like golden or platinum standards of video creation. Of course, there are some standards, but you are free. You're completely free to experiment and to combine everything you want to with everything you want to. And there are no limits in that sense, especially for you. So keep trying, keep testing and combining. Then, what I would love also to emphasize, last but not least, or almost last, I call it wait a sec effect. What do I mean? The prompts that are generated, I mean, especially the video prompts, they might be not so perfect. Imagine you have a 10 seconds prompt where an elephant is running in a jungle, and on second 7, all of a sudden he reverses. You remember those funny things when he gets a fifth or sixth tail or something like this, or a third ear. Don't stress out. Do not cancel it as a loss. Maybe you can just simply cut on second 6.9 and extract the 6.9 seconds of good video and put them into your movie. So there is no necessity to destroy and to say, oh, this is a bad prompt, a bad video, because he has become a third ear, for example. Or sometimes the background or some objects on the right hand side or on the left hand side appear to be strange. So if it fits into the overall landscape and concept, then you can cut always a bit the frame, and the object you're focusing on is still okay. So you don't have to redo it. Yep. Well, I don't have to tell it to you. Even our today's topic is all about some new things. So try out everything that comes out. The AI software is updating on a weekly basis. I wouldn't have enough fingers on my hands to count how many software solutions and new things and features are coming out on almost daily basis. I don't say you have to try everything, but you have to try the things you like, the things that could fit for your groove. So do that. Well, and some of my older experiences that sometimes you really need hundreds of prompts for 5 seconds video. GenAI, generative artificial intelligence, is still going to the kindergarten nowadays. There are every week coming out new features. So guys, that was it. It's my first stream today. For those of you who have not yet subscribed to Blastland AI, do so. We would be really happy and grateful. And for the rest, we wish you a very pleasant week. And stay with us. And send us, whenever you have some questions, ping us on our social media or email. We're more than happy to answer your questions. So guys, thank you very much for your time, and wishing everybody a really, really beautiful continuation of the working week. Bye bye.